the activities of the Dangote Refinery, middleman crisis, and what this portends. We have a chart right there on the screen. Let's have that chart. Let's look at it very briefly before we introduce our guest this morning. All right. Okay, so there are 10 key benefits of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery free logistics nationwide. And the first part is delivery is free throughout Nigeria, credit facility for bulk buyers, supporters with bank guarantee, total elimination of logistics and transportation costs, lower fuel prices at the point of sale, improved fuel accessibility for both urban and rural communities, enhance environmental sustainability through optimized delivery systems, support for local economies and businesses, strengthen long-term energy security and national efficiency, increase government revenue, and lastly, you can now buy high-quality vehicles and equipment because we produce Euro 4 and 5 standards now. And these are the, according to Dangote Refinery, these are the 10 key benefits of the free logistics nationwide. All right, let's now introduce our guest who is joining us virtually this morning to talk about all of these activities and more in the person of Ayo Lawal, who is the public affairs analyst. It's so good to have you join us again on Rapid Dawn, Mr. Ayo.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Of course, I'm not here alone. I have Martha. Martha, over to you.
Good morning to you, Mr. Ayo Lawal. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and thank you to everyone who is at the other side of this TV and will be participating in this conversation as well. Of course, you know, at intervals, the numbers will be, right on your screen. So if you have contributions of questions you would like to field to Mr. Ayo Lawal, you're welcome to do that in the course of the conversation. Now, let's move on to the very first question. I have seen all of the benefits that Dangote Refinery is proposing, that this delivery of fuel, at no cost whatsoever would bring to the Nigerian, space. But what exactly does this initiative mean for the average Nigerian?
Well, for the average Nigerian, it means lower prices of petrol. The pump price of petrol is likely to come down in many parts of the country. Before now, what was obtainable was that the price of petrol in Lagos, for example, cheaper than what you would get it in Maiduguri, for instance, or in Fatiskum in Yobe, or perhaps Akere in Bauchi. And the reason, obviously, was because of the differential in the cost of transporting that product all the way from Lagos to Akere, to Fatiskum, or to Maiduguri. And that reflected in the higher price in those regions. And that also, because of the high energy cost, it sort of put pressure on consumer spending. It put pressure on household. It also pushed up inflation in many of these states that are already having to grapple with the harsh economic environment. And so what this initiative will do in the mid to long term is that it will not just equalize the price of petrol across the country, but it means that states that were paying higher prices for now are likely to enjoy lower prices because the add-ons, which was the cost of transporting that product, the margins that retailers were adding, to cover that cost, would have been absorbed by the refinery, hence, will translate to lower prices of the product for the end consumer. So in a nutshell, it's a big win for consumers of the product because they will enjoy lower prices, and of course, like I said, it means that it's going to have a positive net effect on inflation in many of these things, because you know that many of our inflationary numbers are driven by high energy costs, whether it's in food or is whether inputs in businesses like petrol and diesel. So if those prices come down, we're likely to see a positive impact on inflation numbers.
All right, thank you so much for that. Now, let's just get right into the concerns that a lot of Nigerians have raised, and which is the monopolization of that market. Dangote, particularly when it comes to his operations here in Nigeria, one of the major concerns that Nigerians have will be about the monopoly of the market. We'll be casting our minds back to, the price of cement. We have seen that happen many times where he has dominated the market, and for a very long time we had just his products populated in the marketplace until the emergence of cement companies like BUA and the host of that. Now Dangote now refines, distributes and determines logistics for this fuel price, for the fuel. While that sounds like an efficient system, how do we prevent the emergence of monopoly in this system yet again? These
I mean,
guys.
I think you have just using the right. You've just framed it correctly in your last sentence when you said that this is about efficiency.
Okay.
And for me, that is the turning point, because what you're witnessing, it's market competition where efficiency is the name of the game. And what the Dangote refinery has done has to leverage its own comparative advantage to drive efficiency, by leveraging a distribution network, producing 4,000 CNG trucks to effectively and efficiently distribute its products across the country. Now, are there going to be losers in this intervention? The answer is no. But will people be losing because Dangote is absorbing the power of a monopolist industry? The answer will be no. Because what has happened is a classical case of take for instance, of streaming platforms replacing um, cinemas or film studios, right? It's not so much that the streaming platforms are running monopolies. It's that they are finding efficient ways to deliver content to wider audiences across the world. And so in this instance, what the refinery has done, has found an efficient way to distribute its products across the country, and obviously to gain market um, advantage, to improve its market penetration, and to win over retailers, to its own side. And that's exactly what has happened. Now, obviously, I understand the fears that people have, as that this could lead to a situation where the refinery might become a monopoly.
Okay.
But I would always like to remind people that those fears are only happening largely because of the failure, of the NNPCL, of the federal government over the years, that failed to put our refinery together, that failed to make any of our four refineries function, and has built a very inefficient distribution system across the country over the years. Where I'm sure you remember a time where we're paying something called the equalization fund
Yes.
to be able to distribute products at equal prices across the country. But what happened at the time was that even though the government was paying, Petran or retailers or marketers, whatever you call them, those qualification fund, these organizations still did not build an efficient system of distributing products.
Okay.
What we saw over time was that those margins were not transmitted to the consumer as cheaper products, but it was maintained by these groups who actually at the time were also running monopolies, because they were for instance, for a long time, MPs was the sole importer of petroleum products in this country, right? And the groups that were distributing those products were at the time running some sort of monopolies because they held the entire country by the jugular. So in times where, for instance, the Lagos state government was trying to sanitize the moving in and out of tankers from Apapa, they would always threaten to go on a strike and force the Lagos state government to back down on several occasions, because they will just threaten you that petroleum products will not move. So for a long time, they have also enjoyed what they are trying to criticize this refinery for,
Totally.
which was a monopolist, inefficient system that protected their inefficiency, because they were always going to be paid some sort of subsidy from the federal government, and they were the only game in town, and there was no other option to distribute products. across the country. So this for me is a wake-up call for them to now begin to do the business of reinventing their offering and finding more efficient ways to remain relevant in the market.
Okay, Mr. Ayo, I do have some concerns, though, which would also, by extension, be the concerns of some Nigerians out there. You talked about monopolizing the market by Dangote, but according to energy analysts, they do say that logistics currently account for about 10% and 30% of fuel prices, and of course, eliminating this cost will naturally reduce pump prices, and of course rural dwellers often pay more for fuel than those in the urban areas. So it's a fantastic idea, fantastic initiative and the rest. But looking at a place like Nigeria and then government policies and the politics that goes on between, you and I know, I'm sure it's not new to you. You've probably heard that some persons have accused Dangote of being in bed with the government and all of that. Do you think that we might have any government interference that would likely hamper the efficiency or the actualization of this?
Well, for a very long time, we had clamored for the deregulation of this sector. We had clamored for some sort of market led economy as far as pertains to the oil and gas sector. It was the reason behind the pursuit and the eventual passage of the PIA, and of course the fanfare that greeted the passage of that, landmark act. So, I mean, for us to not get to the point where we are now seeing the reality of what a market-led economy looks like, and to begin to then entertain fears or to entertain the possibility of government intervention, I think that is a bit.
Are you there, Mr. Ayo? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
Yes, it's a
now.
lot better now.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm not sure where you lost me, but I was trying to say that we're currently operating in a deregulated market, and government intervention in a deregulated market is actually very limited, or should be very limited, right?
Yes.
Because their intervention will obviously cause a lot of disruptions, and sometimes could even lead to capital flight, because people have invested their money based on an expectation. Intervening will completely disrupt those expectations. So I think that for me, what our focus should be on is that the consumer of this product, which are millions of Nigerians, are first not shortchanged by a system that exploits them, but are rewarded by an efficient system that delivers this product to them in a timely and cost beneficial manner. And that for me is what these refineries are achieving, because you're getting a product that is of global standard, that is efficiently being distributed, and that is delivered at the most efficient price to the consumer. And that for me, because the consumer is the most important part of this entire um, 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 jigsaw, that for me is a win for the consumer. Every other thing matters less to me, because we have been in this industry for the past 30, 40 years where we have struggled to make progress, where we have spent billions in trying to turn around our refineries that have never worked. I mean, continues to siphon billions of dollars. And here we are, there's a private led investor who putting over $20 billion into this project and has delivered on his promise and is creating jobs on a daily basis. I mean, as at my last count, I think the refinery has created close to 30,000 jobs. This distribution channel that they have put in place is going to create another 8,000 jobs.
Okay.
So it's solving the job creation problem. It is paying one of the highest taxes in the country to the federal government. It is delivering products at the best price possible to the consumer. From where I sit, it's a win-win for the consumer and the economy. Now,
Okay.
so the problem of monopoly arise anytime in the future, you already have agencies of government like the Consumer Protection Council and all of that that will deal with that problem if that problem arises in the future. They have the constitutional backing to deal with that problem when it does arise. But at the moment, I just do not see, um, why we should be worried
Okay.
about a product that has not read its head yet.
Another thing that is also of concern, which I would also want you to speak on, is the issue of the transportation. Now, they say that they are going to be using the road means of transportation to enable them bypass certain bureaucracies and the likes, which, looking at it, might sound like a great idea, seeing that they're taking care of the transportation, storage, and the likes. But then again, we don't have the best of roads. That's one thing that you probably would agree with me. We don't have the best of roads. How are these going? Because several times you travel by road, you see some trucks, getting stuck on the road, accidents here and there, and they've been complained that these trucks have a way of messing up and spoiling the roads, even though our roads are not properly done anyway. But so let's look at the means of transportation now. Is that going to pose any problem?
Well, again, in an ideal situation, the government should have dealt with infrastructural challenges across the country and provided efficient means of transporting goods and services, whether it's rail, road, or our waterways.
Okay.
But like we have found ourselves in a situation where we have spent the last 20 years trying to reconstruct the Lagos-Ibadan expressway alone. So it's no news that we have very serious infrastructural deficits across the country. There's no doubt about it. But these products have to move. And as far as I can tell, um, the company pays a lot of attention to the quality of its drivers. They have to go through, special trainings to drive these trucks. The trucks that are being used to convey these products um, are of the highest standards. As you know, they were bought brand new, and they meet, uh, you know, standards and specifications. So I think that the company has done its own part, which is to get the vehicles that meet standards
To
and
transport
requirements and
them.
specifications, to train the drivers that move these products or drive these vehicles across the country, and to use an energy that is clean, which is CNG in this instance, that does not pollute the environment and uses environmental degradation. So the company has done its own part to tick all the boxes. I'm not sure that they can go beyond that to start to also solve our infrastructural challenges to make our roads a lot more motorable. That will be the domain of the federal government, and it's important to call them out on that, because they're also failing in that regard. So again, except we want to again wait for the federal government, the private sector, like Dangote again, to start constructing the
The
roads that
roads.
he's going to move his product on again. I mean, I mean, I don't know.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo. Let me quickly call out the WhatsApp number so that anyone who wants to like send a message or ask questions to you will redirect them to WhatsApp. The number is 081 4505 5855. Is 081 5855. Now, let's head over to the next question we'll be asking today. Now, we know that over time we have seen a certain level of dependence of the Nigerian government, its people in general, on fuel, on gas and what have you. And because of our heavy dependence on on fuel and oil, literally all our agencies or parastatals has a link or a connection to this sector. And this has increased the price of fuel, not just the price of fuel, it has also increased the cost of flying. We know that places like Lagos, from Lagos to Abuja, we used to have flights as cheap as 25 to 30,000 at that time. But hello, Mr. Are you here with us?
I hear you.
Okay. So we have seen like a drastic increase in the price of aviation because of the increase in price of fuel as well. So for major industries like the telecoms, manufacturing, and the aviation, how will this shift reshape their cost structures and competitiveness and ultimately consumer pricing?
Well, I'm not sure that it does anything for them.
Okay.
Really and truly. Because for the aviation, we are competing in completely different space,
Okay.
and the price structure in the aviation industry is a bit different from what is obtainable um, in a logistic driven retail business, in the sense of the distribution of petroleum products across the country. So I would argue that they are competing in extremely different industries and environments, and I don't see how you know their price point would be impacted with the decisions that are being taken, in this regard. I just don't see how there's a correlation, or there's a between both.
Are you there? Can you hear
Yes, I
me?
am.
Okay, so you're saying now that this recent development by Dangote Refinery only affects, few consuming businesses.
And perhaps AGO, because they also will be moving the seat of AGO across the country. So um, businesses like hotels and manufacturing concerns that rely um, on diesel would also enjoy lower prices. It's expected that that will also impact on them positively. But my argument is that aviation has an entirely different cost
Space.
structure, that it will be difficult to predict how this will affect that positively in the mid to long term.
I think it will affect them positively because I mean, in the statement, it was said that the aviation sector, people in hospitality, not just users, not just end users alone. I mean, they're all end users basically, though. He said it's going to, take off some burdens, from this. I mean, it wouldn't make sense if it's just
The
streamlined to
price of
just.
fuel.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense if it's just the price of fuel alone. So yeah, I think it covers all the parties involved.
All right. Yes, aside that, I would want to ask that what other measures can be put in place because now the price of fuel is reduced.
Yes.
We will see transporters on the road maintain the same price that is obtainable now even after they experience that decrease. It is often said that it is only in Nigeria that whatever goes up never comes
Never
down.
comes
We
down.
defy the law of gravity all the time. Do you think that measures should be put in place to check and balance, different sectors and parastatals to ensure that the cost of this fuel, the decrease in the cost of fuel, directly affects some of these institutions that you have called, like the hospitality unit?
Well, that's $1 million question you've asked, because this will mean creating an entire bureaucracy,
Okay.
to start pursuing businesses like transportation businesses, hotel businesses, to ensure that they reflect lower prices because of cost, um, energy that has gone down. Why this will be difficult to do is that many businesses will argue that there are other inputs
Okay.
that are still going up, that also add on to their cost and makes it difficult for them to reduce prices overall. Take a transport company that is traveling from Lagos to Abuja, for instance. If you reduce the price of petrol, they will tell you that there is still wear and tear on their engine, because of moving or traveling on bad roads, right, across the state. They will tell you they still have to pay some monies, to various checkpoints on the way before they get to Abuja. So there are still other costs that many of these businesses have to incur, um, that makes it a bit difficult
Okay.
for prices to immediately come down when the prices of energy go down, especially when those prices are just so if the price is moving from 1,000 naira per liter to, like, say, 900 naira per liter,
Okay.
it's not a drastic change, and it will be difficult for you to just suddenly cut prices, if you're running a business. But if the price drop was something like between 40 to 50%,
Okay.
then it will be difficult for businesses to keep prices as high as they have done, because definitely competition will undercut them. So if you're transporting people with 20,000 naira from Lagos to Abuja, and your energy costs have dropped by 40%, and you refuse to bring down prices, it gives other transport organizations the opportunity to take your market, because they can bring down their own price by 20%, and eat into your market, and you will then be forced to also bring your prices down. So eventually, prices will go down until it gets to a point of equilibrium. So if you see prices maintained across board, it means that there are other factors that are forcing prices to hold,
All right.
and not just energy.
Okay. I think that we can go on a very short break now. Just take a short breather very quickly, and then when we come back, we look to see if we have some messages, and then we'll wrap up the conversation on the Dangote Refinery.
From the heart of Africa, where dreams are born and passion is boundless, a new wave of talent rises. In La Liga, these extraordinary athletes are not just playing the game, they're transforming it.
The man chasing, it's Lamine Yamal. What a magnificent goal that
They
is!
shine on the world stage. Watch as they redefine football, inspire millions, and make history. La Liga, where dreams become reality.
Are you missing out on interviews, music, entertainment, thought-provoking discussions, and more? Don't sweat it, man. We've got you covered. No matter where you are, be part of the action 24/7, online and live.
Caesar Radio.
On Facebook, it's Rapid FM Umahia. On Instagram, it's Official Rapid FM. And on X, it is Rapid FM 965. Tune in to Rapid 96.5 FM or listen to us live on our website at www.rapidfm965.com or radiogarden.com. Better yet, get our mobile app from the Google Play Store. Catch the pulse of the Southeast on Rapid 96.5 FM, the sound of your city.
Hey, Oyanam, all Caesar Radio.
Hello viewers at home, this is the Almighty, and I'm here at the Masterminds Maiden Edition and our audition today. This is the platform where we give young mind kids from the ages of 7 to 17 the platform to express their feeling and to showcase their talent.
My name is Uzo Emanuela.
Sadiq Labron Abu.
Jessica Prince. My name is Halimi Billy.
Sarah Angela Achalaga. My name is Golden.
Special Sodunu. I'm Tarila. I am Paris Aban. Just not
Let's go.
It was amazing.
It was splendid.
Mastermind.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join Rapid TV on StarTimes Channel 176, Nightcom Sat. On Rapid FM, we speak your language from the soulful airwaves of Umuahia to the vibrant culture of Port Harcourt and beyond. More than broadcasters, we're creators, amplifying that voice within with powerful content across TV, radio, and digital. Join us at rbnradiotv.com and all our social media handles. One network, one voice. Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. The sound of your city, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
All right. I was still having the conversation of the new initiative by the Dangote Refinery, what it portends for Nigerians, and of course, looking at some concerns. Just in case you have your messages you want to ask Mr. Ayo, you can definitely use the WhatsApp number on the screen. But if not, let's ask Mr. Ayo. Mr. Ayo, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I think my last question to you would be regarding to the concerns of some persons who are saying that if this have to happen, then there will be lots of, now there's job gain in terms of the tanker drivers, which about 8,000 of them are going to be on this particular project, will be needed for this project. But then again, looking at job loss from the other side now, okay, so that is one side we have not talked about, because the people who are in the middle, they also serve a purpose. Now, if these people are cut out of the picture, what it means is that there's also job loss in this area. How do we handle that?
Well, if we're being honest, the job loss will be actually because
would be what?
The job loss wouldn't be that significant if we're being honest, because Dangote is only distributing his product across the country. Okay. Just his product.
His product. Okay, that's.
As we speak, you still have major marketers who are still importing products into this country and distributing them across.
Yeah, but you know that if his price is good, I mean, it therefore means the market will move to him.
So it will put every other person on their toes.
So again, that's why I said it's the beauty of competition. So what you do is that he's not doing anything out of the blue. He's just going to be transporting on CNG, which reduces his energy transportation costs. So what you can then do is to also leverage on the federal government CNG initiative and convert your diesel engine trucks to CNG, right? And then transport your products in a more efficient way across the country. Okay. It's as simple as that.
All right.
So you have to do the work of being a lot more efficient company, organization, to be able to keep your market share. I mean, it's just like GT Bank now complaining about what OPay is doing. You have to just be more efficient. It's as simple as ABC.
Okay.
Otherwise, nobody's going to be throwing a pity party for any bank. You just simply use OPay because it's more efficient for you.
Okay.
So that's exactly what this truck Petron needs to do. To find a more efficient way to distribute their products across the country. That's all, and no jobs will be lost.
Okay, let's take some comments that we have here. Finally, let fuel scarcity be a thing of the past. We've suffered too much in this country. This one says, this is how you build a nation. Local production, local supply. Kudos to Dangote. And this one said, Dangote again? Hope this won't turn into another monopoly. Nigerians must stay alert. I think, Mr. Ayo, you responded to that earlier when Martha asked that question about monopoly. This one says, if the refinery can consistently distribute across Nigeria, transport costs might finally drop. And this one says, don't be surprised if prices still remain high. Distribution is not the issue. Corruption is. Mr. Ayo, okay, so I think you should respond to the issue of the corruption. And then this one says, how will government regulate this so that he doesn't control prices entirely?
Because I think that was the last question I was going to ask Mr. Ayo. So let's just attach it to this one.
Yeah.
It was talking about how the question was, does this move shift Nigeria from a government regulated fuel system to a private-led, market-driven structure? And then what are the implications for regulatory bodies like NMDPRA and PPRA? I think he answered, the last part of the question where he said there are other marketers or there are other people who still import from different parts of the country. But let's just hear you as regards the moving or the shift from the government regulatory fuel system to a private-led, market-driven system.
Well, I mean, the terms of reference of many of these organizations are clear, whether it's NPRA, whether it's NUPRC, all of these organizations have a clear term of reference that are guided by the PIA, clearly stipulated there. So there's no room for confusion because the function of the regulator is clearly stated and captured in the PIA that guides the entire industry. It guides how investment to be managed, in the oil and gas sector. It guides, explains the details and the boundaries of the regulator. I mean, it's clearly spelled out there. So what you now have is a system where people now, to put local parlance, stay on their lane, really and truly. Allow the private sector to do what it knows how to do best, and government regulates where necessary and if necessary. And there wouldn't be any contradictions whatsoever. But let me quickly speak to the optimism of lower prices in immediacy. Now, you are not likely to see prices drop immediately.
So what's the time frame?
Largely because of what is happening in the Middle East now.
Okay.
The Iranian issue, with threats on the Straits of Hormuz, and the Persian Gulf, is likely to push up premium in the transportation of petroleum products along that corridor. And that means that the prices of crude is likely to go up. Now, if the prices of crude goes up, what is then going to mean is that the refining cost of petrol would also go up. And that means the pump price of petrol would also go up. So it's important to stress that the ongoing events in the Middle East will force the prices of crude to go up, and we should buckle up for higher prices at the pumps. So this distribution, you will not see the immediate impact, as it were, because of the price increase that you're likely to see from the fallout of the ongoing crisis in Iran.
So, Mr. Ayo, you're saying that Nigerians should not be excited yet because there's no time in sight of when the issues in the Middle East are going to be settled.
Exactly. So in fact, your excitement could be that if you're going to be paying 1,200 naira per liter, because of more efficient distribution, you may find yourself paying 1,100 or 1,000 naira. But those prices will go up given the rise in the price of crude internationally.
I mean, already yesterday, I think was it Wednesday or yesterday, Wednesday and Tuesday, we saw a story saying that prices of some persons might start buying fuel at the rate of 1,000 naira. So imagine, so that means Nigerians celebrate not.
It's not about not celebrating at all. I think it's just our hopes are really high because when we hear that Dangote is now, taking off the burden from bodies like NMDPRA and some of those downstream sectors, we are excited that almost immediately the cost of everything will literally go down because we have seen the cost of things increase and they attributed it to the cost of to the price of fuel.
So we should blame it on our expectations.
Don't expect too much.
Be cautiously optimistic.
Exactly.
That's
be cautious about your optimism. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo Lawal, for joining us today on the show.
It has been a great conversation, and we like the fact that anytime we call you, you are there to respond. Do you have yourself a blessed day, Mr. Ayo?
All right, then. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So I think that was. I hope we're able to answer those that asked questions on the WhatsApp. Hope Mr. Ayo was able to answer your questions, and hope you've gained a thing or two from the conversation. I think the key thing is celebrate not, just like he used the word, cautiously celebrate because whatever is going on in the Middle East, I do not see it ending anytime soon, and so that has a large part to play in what is happening. But then again, we cannot take the part away from the back of Dangote Refinery. They're doing a good job, and so yes, they are looking at ways to make the life of everyday Nigerians better, because I mean, when petroleum is sorted, I think that to a large extent, many things will work out just fine.
The problem is, will it be sorted? Because there are things that will still fight the progress of this. Remember, the date it's in August. They moved the entire implementation of this new policy to August, right? And you know how many times we moved the launch of Dangote Refinery? It was moved about 3 times.
Brother was frustrated.
Before we saw full implementation of that refinery. This might just be the case. Of course, like Mr. Ayo said, a lot of different factors will come in. These people are not just going to watch you take off the body like that.
That's true. That's true. So keep your fingers crossed. And with that, we say that we've had a great conversation this morning. I'm sure that just like me and Mata, you're anticipating what the weekend has for us. And tomorrow is Friday. They say weekend will go sweet. Now from Thursday, you go no. And right now, I think I already know how the weekend is going to be. Mata is taking me for ice cream, actually.
Never. Never, guys. Not doing that. The last time she promised, she didn't. So anyway.
No! I always keep to my promises.
How did you?
I have a long record of keeping promises. And you know it.
Let's not.
And you know it.
Let's not wash our linen in public. But you guys, it's going to be an amazing weekend.
Let's wash it.
Money or not, have a good time. I mean, if you keep thinking about money as the only way for you to chop life, you're never gonna do it.
She's learning. Chop life. She's learning. I like it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. It's been quite a packed morning, and we will be exiting your screens right now to be back tomorrow.
All right, so you already know what it is. Rapid Dawn comes to you Monday through Friday, and of course, tomorrow's another day will be on your screen, and they're giving you all of the great things. Now, tomorrow is going to be entertaining, so keep your fingers crossed for all of the entertainment that we have for you. Don't forget that you can go to our social media platforms and check out all of the great things we have, and this conversation will also be uploaded on YouTube, as well as other amazing conversations that we've had throughout the week. So you could just, do Netflix and chill, or do YouTube and chill on Rapid TV on YouTube. You just have your popcorn and watch all of our interviews and get yourself abreast with everything that you probably have missed due to your busy schedule. We are on Facebook and Instagram and X and on TikTok as well. And our website is fully loaded 24 hours, so you have no reason to miss anything. www.rbnradiotv.com. Cynthia Agbo is my name. See you tomorrow.
Martha is my name. See you tomorrow.